being a jerk. And the essence of it comes down to sort of two things. And these are tricky, right? It clearly shows us a way. Oh, hold on. It clearly gives us a way to look at things, but in a very different way, and a much more healthy way in terms of our spirituality. Now, this is the way. So it is very easy to confuse being religious with being right. And we definitely have seen that over and over again in our history where religions can kind of veer towards, it's about being right. And there's this chosen group. We are the group that gets it. Inevitably, somebody who's talking to you from that position, they never put themselves outside that group. They're always inside the group. They know that this group has the real truth. No one else does. And their job is to somehow co-opt you to believe exactly as they believe because they've got the answer. And there's a lot of limitations to that. And there's a lot of draw to that because it makes us feel like we got it. And other people don't. That always feels good to our ego. It's a very dangerous way to actually live life. And it's why religion sometimes can be so incredibly off-putting. I know even as a pastor, I love religion. I love Christianity. It's into my marrow. And yet when I see religion treated that way, it's like, I don't want anything to do with those kinds of groups. They're very hard to work with and they're very hard to have conversations with because there's always a little bit of this relationship. It's one person here, another person here. God's all about this. God's all about this kind of relationship. So as we move from this kind of hierarchical relationship, which is based on somebody being right, what is this? Well, it's the movement from being right, worried about being right, that I have all the right answers, to the movement of being with, that my job is to be with other people. That is Jesus's primary message. There is not, when you look at the sort of the breadth of the four Gospels, you'd be hard pressed to find a group that he didn't spend some time with. From the Roman occupiers to tax collectors to prostitutes to saints, and he spent time with everybody, all the different, even the most broken parts of society. He spent time there, even with the most celebrated and accomplished parts of society. Spent time there. Like he clearly was spending time with the whole span of human experience, much more so than any of us, I think, probably would even in this day and age. Truly, truly remarkable and truly, truly inspiring. Like that's Jesus's message. It's not about how to be right, but how to be with other people. And so the question becomes, and this is the dilemma, right? Is a dilemma, but aren't there times where we really have to be right? What role does truth play in it? Because I don't want to just be sort of wishy-washy, spineless, like doesn't work. Well, yeah, they're very true. That's very, very, a very accurate critique of just going solely with, because we still have to have a backbone. We still have to have those truths that we navigate by. We still have to have those beliefs that we're really super clear on, because that's going to help people to navigate. It doesn't help anybody, if they're really looking for direction in their life, to just be like, well, I don't got a map, I have no idea. That's not helpful. It does help when we're able to say, like, here's some things to think about. Here's a possible direction. This is how I might consider it, leaving it open. And I love Brene Brown's words with this, and I think they clearly echo sort of her Christian upbringing, which is the idea our job is to have a strong back and a soft front. And again, we've used that several times in here, but I think it's important to keep on coming back to it. Strong back, soft front. So in other words, we stand by what we stand by, but we're really willing to have a soft front, to be approachable, vulnerable, able to connect with other people. That's what really matters. And from a Swedenborgian Christian perspective, what that means is the soft front means I'm always looking for the good in the neighbor. No matter how challenging that person can be, I'm always going to search out that good for the neighbor. I'm going to try to serve that. Now, that is not easy to do. And sometimes serving the good in the neighbor means, you have to draw lines. Those of you who raise or are raising teenagers know that, right? Like if you really want to serve what's good in your kids, you're going to have to give them some limits. But that's how you serve what's good. And I just think it changes the flip, right? Because instead of my focus being on how am I right and how are they wrong, my focus is what is the good in them and how do I sort of reach in and start to serve that good. And again, may lead us to make some decisions around accountability that are important, may lead us to some celebration, may lead us could lead us all kinds of different healthy spiritual directions. But again, the focus has gone from, again, this being right, to this being with, and with being with, I'm going to look at the good in the neighbor. I'm going to try to serve that. I'm going to look at what they have that's good in their lives. And everybody has it. I mean, that's the beautiful part is I've never met any individual where I thought like, whoa, there's nothing good here. And if I'm going to say something smarmy, if you do sort of find someone who, where you're like, oh my goodness, where you're just kind of looking at them and you're thinking there's no good there, be super careful. I would be hard pressed to think that is true. And there might be some individuals where that is true, some extreme cases, but I certainly have not experienced that. So friends, the moral of the story is this, is with the being right versus being with, focus on being with other people. As you focus on being with other people, strong back, soft front. The way that we experience the strong back, the soft front, is that we lean out into the world and we lean out into our relationships with other people, and we lean out with that very soft front. And that soft front is something that has it's not rigidly boundaried, and I'm just going to look for what's good in the other person, and I'm going to attempt as best I can with great humility and with great care to gently try to serve that. It doesn't mean I'm coming out with my agenda in terms of how to serve. It means that I want to look and be open to how God's going to work with all of us in helping each other to consistently bring out the best in each other. That's what it comes down to. So I hope that makes sense, and I hope that helps you to, look at this whole idea of being right or being with. Again, if you want to see more on this topic, Sunday service, how to be religious without being a jerk, was a fun one to preach. Thank you to the sermon writing team for help to put it together. And it'll expand on this topic. So with that, dear friends, we're going to shift gears. And as we shift gears, we come into a gentle landing here. So we're going to take a little breath, little meditation, and a little prayer. So let's get started here. First off, a little breath. And a little meditation. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I. Be still and know that. Be still and know. Be still and. Be still. Be. Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so upon the earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you, bring you peace, and bring you home. Amen. All right, dear friends, I actually have to go run a stepson to work, so I will not be taking comments because I got a skedaddle, but please leave them, and I will gladly get to them ASAP when I get back on my computer a little later on today. So again, God bless all of you. Strong back, soft front. Think about being with, not being right, and serve the good in the neighbor. There you go. Boom. Take